Good morning. Good morning. For those of you who don't know me or didn't get 1,000 emails from me during the closing process, I'm Darcy Jamieson, Vice President of Development at Beacon. I want to welcome everyone to the historic YWCA and to the Lyric Stage Theater, our hosts today. Thank you. The Y has been at the forefront of the most pressing social movements for more than 160 years. From voting rights to civil rights, from affordable housing to healthcare reform. Today, we're here to celebrate the conversion of this historic building from one of the earliest YWCA buildings to 210 apartments, half of which are set aside for community members who are experiencing homelessness, and preservation of some of our most cherished cultural and educational organizations in Boston, the YWCA's offices, Lyric Stage Theater, City of Boston Charter School, and everyone's favorite eatery and dry cleaner, Viga and Hanavan. I'm happy to report that we are fully occupied and all of our programs and services that we talked about for the last few years are 100% up and running. This new community embraces the Y's founding principles and our shared missions to provide safety, stability, and dignity to 210 people in the form of quality, affordable housing, supported with on-site health and wellness programs, case management, food programming, fitness and computer programs, and so much more. The YWCA has always been about community. I'd like everyone to pause for just a quiet second and look around. The people in this room, oops, get rid of that, visionary political leaders, lenders, investors, design and construction experts, housing and resident services experts, community groups and residents, and so many more experts came together with one vision and truly approached it with creativity and timely problem solving. I would especially like to thank the neighborhood for your support and trust. In our early conversations, many of the neighborhood and community members acknowledged that the residents who would reside in 140 Clarendon were already living in the neighborhood on the street. And you welcomed that they would have a new permanent supported home in the Back Bay neighborhood. Thank you for that. Today's program includes many of the leaders who made it possible to be here today. Leadership on this project was really, truly unparalleled. Our speaking program will be followed by a ribbon cutting, and then please join us for refreshments. With that, I would like to turn the stage over to Howard Cohen, Chairman of the Board of Beacon Communities, followed by Bruce Purcellay, President of Mount Vernon Company, and Lyndia Downey, President and Executive Director of the Pine Street Inn.
Mayor Wu, Secretary. I'm just thrilled to be here today. It was July 2020 that I got a call from Bruce Purcellay. We had been together on what would have been a gentrification of this building. That fell apart because of the pandemic. And Bruce had the idea that maybe we could turn this into affordable housing. And he called the right guy. It was a great suggestion. And we started to work on that. I started with a phone call to the Y, phone call to Kate Racer, phone call to Sharon, Sheila Dillon, and we got going. 3.5 years later, I was thinking about what we had to accomplish. The Y needed to renegotiate its arrangements with its debt and equity so that it could sell the building and build an endowment that it desperately needed. We arranged for the Y to stay in the building so they didn't have to figure out a relocation. We arranged a financing package among Beacon HLC, D&D, the Boston Assessment Department, Mass Housing, Bank of America, and the BHA. Created a long-term partnership between PSI and Beacon. Renegotiated leases with the Lyric, the Boston School Department, the restaurant, and the Taylor. Nobody got evicted on the commercial side. We participated with the BPDA in a full public review process and obtained all required permits. Had PCA and NEI prepare and price full construction plans. Had HOU relocate every existing resident at least once. Saw NEI complete the rehab on time and in budget in the midst of the pandemic. And then we achieved 100% occupancy and probably did 10,000 other tasks. Metaphorically, it was like watching the boats at the head of the Charles, each rowing as powerfully as possible. But rather than being winners and losers, each boat had to cross its own finish line exactly on schedule. And we're all rowing together. And then at the closing, it's like all the boats need to arrive. I'm hesitant to single out anybody, particularly for thanks. Everybody in this room, every organization in this room did what they had to do to get this accomplished. But there are a couple people that are personally very important to me. Darcy, who's just did an amazing amount of work to make this happen. April Agnabeni, Ben Phillips, David Greenbat, and Paul Boutin, and the entire Nixon Peabody team. But now the hard work begins, as Darcy was saying. Most of the residents at 140 Clarendon had suffered trauma. Most of them had not had a good night's sleep before moving in. It's now the task of PSI and the Beacon management and community engagement teams to provide the stable, comfortable home each resident, each person in our society is entitled to have. I hope to be able to rehold this event in 10 years and come back and see all of us and the amazing work that we've accomplished. Thank you all for working with us and allowing this to happen. Thank you.
So in the spirit of full disclosure, this deal started out as a for-profit venture. And it was complicated by the fact that there were 80 affordable units that were deeded to the property. We wrestled for months and months on how to figure out how to eradicate those 80 units. And then one night at 3 a.m., there was an epiphany. Why not have the wind at our backs and turn this into the most significant, affordable project that the Back Bay has ever seen and make it all affordable? Before I could hang up the phone with my associate here, he had already been on the line to Sheila Dillon, and I have never seen anyone move quite so quickly. But the fact is that the measure of a great city is not how it caters to the rich, but its ability to support the middle class, the working class, and the truly needy. The enlightened developer understands that the health of the city as a whole is in the best interest of the entire community. And the reason I believe that Boston has less social issues that are seen impacting other cities around the country is that we understand how important it is to have a strong social safety net because it ultimately benefits everyone. This project demonstrates what is possible, even in the most prosperous neighborhood of this most prosperous city. 140 Clarendon Street is a shining example of what happens when the public and private sectors work together as a team. It is the likes of Sheila Dillon, Arthur Jemison, and of course the mayor, as well as scores of others, who recognize that harnessing the skills of the private sector, the energies, the creativity, and the efforts that have made this project work is why we are not on different sides of the team. We are a team together. This building is a monument to the possible. It is an exceptional example of how, when the best and the brightest put their heads together, great things can happen. The execution by Beacon Communities has been extraordinary. Architect David Chelinsky, who I believe is the most creative architect in the city, did a masterful job. NEI, I'm told, was on time, on budget during the most difficult of circumstances. 140 Clarendon Street should be an example of what can be done. And this should not be the first of its kind, but it should be the beginning of the realization that projects like this in this neighborhood are possible. The Boston Globe cited 140 Clarendon as the miracle on Clarendon Street. It was not a miracle. It was a deliberate, planned, focused effort on achieving a goal that has set a high bar for other developers and for other parts of this city to produce an environment for people who are in true need for affordable, quality housing. So I would like to say congratulations to all involved and well done, Boston. Thank you.
Good morning, everyone, and welcome. I know it's raining outside, but it's beautiful in here. On behalf of both Pine Street and Beacon Communities, I want to acknowledge Mayor Wu, Secretary of Housing and Livable Communities at Augustus. I'm Linda Downey, by the way. I should have introduced myself. I'm the Executive Director at Pine Street Inn. I just can't tell you how grateful we are to be here today. And to echo a little bit of what everybody said, this was a massive collaboration across city, state, and private partners. To Sheila Dillon, our absolute partner in crime, almost every single day of the week. Arthur Jemison, who we have put through his paces, Arthur, but thank you for being here. Just grateful to have you here. To Kenzie Bach, who was a city councilor when this building was becoming affordable housing, now running the Housing Authority. To Kate Bennett, I don't know if Kate's here, but Kate was running the Housing Authority at the time. Representative Livingstone, thank you for being here. Representative Moran, thank you very much for your support as well. I haven't seen City Councilor Flynn. He was very helpful in getting this project permitted and supportive, so I want to say thank you. To our board, I know Laura Sen's here, Monsignor Kelly, Margaret Stapleton, Tom O'Brien, who's chair of our real estate committee, who kept saying to us we weren't thinking big enough. Well, Tom, so thank you for that, because we're starting to think bigger now. So thank you. And to Joyce Tavon from Mahasa, who's been a great partner in supportive housing. But most of all, I got to thank the Yawkey Foundation. Alicia Verity and Maureen Blade are both here. Thank you for all your support in expanding our housing. Katie Everett's here from the Lynch Foundation as well. But I really have to thank Howard and the team at Beacon and Bruce Pursley at Mount Vernon. Howard's no stranger to this work, and we couldn't have a better partner. And I'm really happy you had such an epiphany, Bruce, or else we wouldn't be here. So very excited about that. To Jan Griffin on our team, who just is an amazing, makes all this happen. And to Sean Terry, who's our on-site administrator here, who has been working really hard to get this building opened and get it leased up. So 111 people who were once homeless now live here in the Back Bay. Just want to remind you all. We've got the Neighborhood Association of the Back Bay to thank for that. Martin Roeder, the chair, who was supportive from day one. Elizabeth Morris and Kathy Young, who chair the association's Homeless Task Force. Thank you. We think you should change the name of the task force to the Homeless and Housing Task Force, by the way, now. We appreciate that very much. I want to thank Meg Mainzer-Cohen from the Back Bay Business Association. She and I spent many hours talking about this project, and thank her for her support. Nancy Taylor, Reverend Nancy Taylor from Old South, thank you. I just can't say enough about how grateful we are to this neighborhood for allowing people who haven't had a shot at much, have a shot at this. And it just restores our faith in what we can do. We, as you know, work hard on housing, and we often get people saying, why don't you do housing in the Back Bay? Well, we're gonna now say, we are doing housing in the Back Bay. Would you like to come and see it and see how good it looks and see how lovely it is? I don't have to tell any of you in this room who are partners in our work what a difference it makes having your own place. Makes your life whole, gives you back your dignity, and it takes away the stigma of being the person who has nowhere to go to being the person who has a key and a place to go. So we're at the cusp at Pine Street of having 1,000 units of supportive housing by this spring. By April or May, we will have 1,000 units. So thank you for all the support in getting us there. But how do these projects happen? You heard earlier from everybody, it takes a very large village to make it happen. But we're very lucky to be in a state where we have great leadership and in a city where this has been important. Now I'd like to introduce our next two speakers. A couple of years ago when we did the groundbreaking, Mayor Wu was here. I think you had been mayor for about a week, if even that, right? And I said to Mayor Wu, we want to do more of this. And a few months later, we worked with another partner on a hotel in Dorchester, and it was really tough, as Arthur and Sheila and other people can tell you. And I have to say, the mayor was steadfast in her support. Easy to be supportive when there's support. It's much harder to be supportive when there isn't support. And I just have got to thank the mayor for that, and just for the focus she's put on affordability and equity, and really thinking about how we as a city take care of people who need housing and support. So thank you, Mayor Wu. And I'm going to introduce Secretary Augustus, who's going to come up right after the mayor. I did wonder how the governor was going to find someone who would take the job as Secretary of Housing. You just kind of say, who's going to do this? As soon as I met the secretary, I knew the mayor had gotten, the governor had gotten the right person. He's been wonderful to work with. We meet with him on a regular basis. He has been he and his team have been essential partners in really thinking strategically about how do we end homelessness for individuals. And it's terrific to have a group that's so engaged, really headed up by Secretary Augustus. So I'm going to turn it over to the mayor and then the secretary.
Good morning, everyone. Good morning. It is thrilling to be here with you all in this beautiful space. And as Lindia was saying, this is bringing back a lot of memories for me because I was brand spanking new at that point. And I remember coming up and saying, this is a great job. I just get to start, and then there are all these amazing announcements that I can make. And it just shows how long and complicated these efforts are, that it spans not only multiple years, but multiple administrations passing the baton on one after another. So I very much want to thank and recognize my predecessors in the role, and certainly at the city level and at the state level, and all those who have been steadfast over a very, very long and complex journey to get here. One thing that is slightly different about today's announcement versus last time is the seating arrangement. I got to sit kind of over here last time, and now it feels like the secretary and I are about to start a 3-part play on entitled How the Federal Government Should Do More. And I'm sure there are others who would join us here up in this chorus. Thank you to the representatives who were mentioned, Representative Livingstone and Moran, for your leadership coming from all parts of this district. And even surrounding areas. I also want to thank and recognize the incredible City Councilor Sharon Durkin, who has stepped into certainly big shoes to fill after now our current administrator, but is doing a fantastic job and is always in support of more affordability across the entire district, and that you've been such an important voice for us at the city level. Thank you to the folks from our team at the city. Could you raise your hand from the city? Thank you, thank you. Too many to name across all the different departments and entities and agencies that have been helpful, but big shout out to Arthur Jemison and Sheila Dillon and their entire teams for all of this work. And I'm going to get more to Kenzie and the BHA in a little bit as well. it was really important that we heard about the origin of this project and how, call it a miracle or call it a dedicated plan, it doesn't happen by accident. And it really takes not only a vision, but a set of leaders willing to think outside the box and bring that enlightened passion through all of the complexities and not so fun steps of a very complicated process. Today we are welcoming residents to their official new home, but this is a building, just as the process has spanned years and generations of political leadership, this is now a building and a home that will span generations of new residents and families in the city of Boston. It's a historic building that has carried so much and so many years of the dreams and hopes and contributions of residents who made their home here, put down their roots, and shaped our city. And it is really a credit to the surrounding community, the neighbors, the various entities from NAB and the Back Bay Association, and all those who rallied and made this project stronger and welcomed all of our new residents here. We know that this will be a new hub in the deep and strong community that the Back Bay embodies. Every single one of the 210 units here, all those residents, will receive a voucher from the Boston Housing Authority that allows low-income families to afford units that would otherwise be unavailable. More than half of these units, as you've heard, have been reserved for formerly unhoused neighbors. And I just want to emphasize that the city's role in this and the BHA's role in this was not just to take an action at the moment that it was requested. To be able to provide the vouchers that would make the math work had already come after years of work and advocacy in changing the policies around the type of reimbursement that our city vouchers could apply. After what was really monumental change from the federal government, thanks to lobbying efforts and coordination and leadership at the city level, we've been able to change how these vouchers are reimbursed differently in more expensive areas of the city relative to others. And that has completely opened up different geographic areas and the ability to truly welcome residents to every part of the city, not just on paper, but then the policies and the numbers don't work out, but to truly have it add up. I know that Administrator Bach has mentioned how much work and heart has gone into this from her team and under Kate's leadership before, that to do a project that was thinking outside the box was not just a stretch for those who envisioned it and designed it and were developing it, but in helping to support the residents and helping to make those connections and ensure that our processes could also stretch differently has been a lot of work. And I just want to recognize that and hold up that as another way that this project is setting a new model for us to do things differently and more inclusively for all. We all know in this room that stable housing is the foundation for residents and families to improve their own quality of life and to help every single one of us grow stronger and closer-knit communities. And so it is only because of the work of all of the partners at the Commonwealth, in the private sector, in the nonprofit sector, at the city level, it is thanks to this collaboration that we are once again a national model in demonstrating what's possible when we come together and really think creatively to meet residents' needs. Thanks to this partnership between the city, the Commonwealth, Pine Street Inn, Mass Housing, Beacon Communities, and the Mount Vernon Company, 200 plus more residents and families can continue to call Boston home. We are driven every day at the city level by our determination that we will make good on housing as a basic right, that there shouldn't be a difference between the great housing we can imagine for our neighbors and the housing that they can actually call home. 140 Clarendon will be that home for hundreds of residents where people feel and have a space of their own and are truly connected to this community where they belong. I'm going to I was thinking, sitting on this lovely stage, that in fact, I would pull out the metaphor a little bit that Howard started with about an image evoking Head of the Charles and the teamwork and precision and aligned effort that it takes to get across the finish line. that in fact the residents here also represent that other great race that Boston is known for around the world. In just a few months, we will celebrate the Boston Marathon and Marathon Monday once again, right steps from this beautiful building, an event that the whole world looks to for what it means to really see the human spirit and resilience and the ways that we come together to all help each other across the finish line. And I'm so excited that there will be 200 plus more spectators cheering on these runners at the finish line who also are right here in the community and helping welcome the world's attention to Boston. So congratulations and thank you to all. I'm very honored to pass it on to my castmate, Secretary Augustus.
Thank you, Mayor Wu, and I think it's time for your Tony Award for you and your team for helping get us here today. On behalf of Governor Healy and Lieutenant Governor Driscoll, I want to bring our congratulations to everybody who was responsible for making today possible, particularly to Beacon Companies, Mount Vernon, Pine Street, and all of the supporting cast that back them up as well as support them, whether it be on the financing, whether it be on the design, the complicated negotiations that were necessary to bring all the partners to the table and keep them at the table for today. You know, it's not only the 210 units that we're celebrating today that impact 210 individuals, but it's really going to be thousands of people if you think about it over the years as those units turn over and support and help other folks who are in need of these units. And this really is a best practice. It's not just about creating the housing, but the support that's necessary, not just to survive, but to thrive. That's where the dignity comes from. And I'm so excited that the Commonwealth was able to be a partner in this project. I think we put in about $5 million of subsidies and more than $60 million of state and federal tax credits. And I want to give a shout out to our Kate Racer, who's our Undersecretary for Production, who really makes it all happen. And to Crystal and the team at Mass Housing. I mean, it really does take a village. If you look at any deal and all of the various funding sources, it almost makes your eyes roll back in your head. But it shows that the state and the city and the private sector, everybody is literally putting every possible tool at the disposal of creating more housing. And more housing for everyone. And this is an example of not forgetting about people. And you know, there's a lot of conversations going on right now about different communities' responsibilities around zoning and production of housing. It is everybody's responsibility. It's every community, it's every neighborhood. We are in this together. We are only going to get out of this if everybody participates in creating the housing that we need so that every single person has a place to call home. So on behalf of the Governor, Lieutenant Governor, our team at HLC, we're happy to be here with you on this project and look forward to being with folks on many more projects in the future. Thank you.
Thank you, Secretary and Mayor Wu, and to all of our elected and appointed colleagues that are here, thank you very much. We have some more thanks to do. We're not quite there yet, everyone, a few more speakers. Before I introduce the next group of speakers, I'd like to recognize the design and construction team that was led by Nidhi John, who's a partner at PCA Architects, Joe Retman and Tony Tenrero at NEI Construction, and my trusted owners reps, Jim Matrano and Eric Boatwright from Waypoint KLA. Can everyone, wake up everyone on the design and construction team in any way, shape, or form, stand up for a second. I want everyone to just see how many people it takes. And in the spirit of International Women's Day tomorrow, look around at how many cool, smart women are in this room. Let's see. As Howard touched on, we asked this amazing team to explore and understand the needs of this 100-year-old building, pull together a full set of plans and specifications, and be ready to start construction in less than a year. That's remarkable. And then did we mention? Yes, I think a few people mentioned that they were going to do it while the building was occupied. So a huge thanks to Susan Connolly. I don't know if she's here today. And Susan, hi, thank you. And the HOU team and our resident services team who worked so closely with many of our very fragile residents, moving them around the building. And to the residents for their patience with all of us. So thank you to this smart, collaborative, and fun team. I think we managed to have a few laughs, even with some of the surprises that come with a 100-plus-year-old building. Occasionally, the NEI team would call me, and I would see my cell phone light up, and my stomach would sort of turn. And they would either start with, "We have a problem," or "Everything is fine." Kind of like when your kids call you. So to our next group of speakers, unique projects like this aren't possible without our trusted financing partners. I mean, we've talked with the state and the city, so thank you very much. Before I move on to the other speakers, I do want to also personally thank the Housing Authority, Kenzie and Kate. I know that folks have touched on how important, the mayor touched on how important those vouchers are, but they really are fundamentally what made the financial structure and feasibility of this project work. I presented this project nationally for the Urban Land Institute last fall out in Los Angeles, and people said, you know, can you replicate this? And I said, you absolutely can, but we had some very special aspects that came together in the city to really make this happen in the Back Bay, so thank you. I'd also like to thank the Mayor's Office of Housing's staff, the BPDA planning team, ISD, and other city departments for all the help on this journey. Under everybody's leadership, everybody really did row in the same direction. So our next three speakers are also major partners in the financing. Please welcome Crystal Cornegay, who's the CEO of Mass Housing and provided the first mortgage, and Crystal's entire team has just been terrific. Thank you. Maurice Coleman, who's the Senior Vice President of Bank of America, who provided the construction loan and was the tax credit investor, and Karen Kelleher, President of Blue Hub Capital, who is our trusted partner in the structure of the state low-income housing tax credit, which we are really grateful to have access to. Is Karen here? Okay. Oh, good. Hi, good. You're welcome. So I'd like to welcome the three of you to the stage to speak, and then
Good morning. I'm on stage with a mic, so you might be here a while. Anyway, what's up, brother? How you doing over there? A couple of things. I've been on the road across the country since February 26th. I've been to Texas, I've been to San Francisco and DC. And if you are doing your work here, doing this kind of work here, if you don't get out, you don't understand how special we are and what we have here in terms of support from the legislature, in terms of support from elected officials, in terms of the quality of our development staff, and even one of the things that I've been hearing across the state was how much stress the nonprofits across the country are under who do permanent supportive housing. And when they would say to me, I was like, I haven't heard that. But it is a really big deal. But the reason I haven't heard that is because we support our nonprofits. We make investments in the right way in deals so that they can be permanent supportive housing. And so I just want to take a minute and give you all a hand. For that. Those of you who know me a while know I talk about this work like this is generational work, right? And so the things we're doing today are going to impact people's lives for not just decades, but for eons, right? And so I heard a phrase when I was in DC that touched me, right? It's like, be a better ancestor than a descendant, right? It's like, right? And so it's like, that's what our work is about. That's what I actually put into it, so I can be a better ancestor, right? And when people are thinking about this work, they're thinking about, what we all did at Mass Housing. So the Mass Housing team, wave your hand if you're on the Mass Housing team. I want to thank you, but I also want to congratulate the team and thank you all for letting us have the opportunity to be better ancestors. So, thank you.
Still morning? Oh. Good morning. One of my favorite authors, Maya Angelou, said once, "If you are always trying to be normal, you will never know how amazing you can be." On behalf of all of my teammates at Bank of America, we want to say congratulations and to say thank you for choosing to be amazing. Thank you to Beacon Communities for allowing us to provide over $150 million in debt and equity to support this transformative project, one that is one of the largest developments in the Commonwealth, focused on both affordable housing and supportive housing, and partnering with our amazing partners at Pine Street Inn. Today, we had the opportunity to celebrate this 100-year-old historic building by also celebrating and honoring 3 iconic institutions: the Lyric Stage, the Boston Snowden School, and of course the YWCA. It's not lost on any of us at Bank of America, as you heard mentioned earlier, that today is March 7th and we are in Women's History Month. So I would be absolutely remiss if I did not take a moment to say a special thank you to so many of the amazing women who made this project possible, starting with my 2 teammates, Liz Gruber and Trish Marinelli. Darcy Jamison of Beacon Communities, Lindia Downey from Pine Street, my good friend Crystal Cornegay from Mass Housing Development, Karen Keller from Boston Hub, and of course our mayor, Mayor Wu. When I think of, yes, give them a round of applause. Yes. When I think of all of you, and I think of so many in this room, and what made this possible was your vision, your passion to deliver excellence, and your fundamental belief that we can make this happen. You know, ladies and gentlemen, I learned a long time ago that the difference between ordinary and extraordinary is just one word: extra. So we want to thank you on behalf of Bank of America for deciding not to be normal, but making a commitment to do everything that was needed, everything extra, to be amazing and to be extraordinary. We could not have done this without you, and we are so thrilled to be your partner. Thank you.
Good morning, everyone. I'm Karen Kelleher from Blue Hub Loan Fund. It's a privilege to be here, and I feel a bit like an imposter. I'm a new leader to Blue Hub Capital, but I am not new to this work, nor is Blue Hub, or to all of you. I'm kind of embarrassed to be standing up here, though, because I know you all did all that rowing, and I did nothing for this project. Nothing. Thank you. Thanks for that affirmation. But I know what it is to do that rowing, and I've been in the boat with all of you personally, but I want to shout out Ebony Smith-Cooper and my team for their work on this. I want to shout out Beacon Communities. Blue Hub has a very long and impactful relationship with Beacon, so we thank you for making us a part of your team on this project. We also have a long and impactful relationship, of course, with the state and the city, with Mass Housing and all of the other partners on this project. I went into our files and found that we also have a long history with this building, having been a partner in the last round of investment in the property where 140 units of single-room occupancy housing were added, I believe. I'm relying on the credit memo, so if I get it wrong, please forgive me. But the credit memo was really interesting because it included some of the history of the building. It said it was built in 1927 as the Pioneer Hotel, which I found really interesting to be described as an upscale chaperoned hotel for women. And it had a restaurant and a tea room, apparently, and a soda fountain called the Chatterbox. So it's a really interesting sort of back in time picture of what this building once was, but it really calls to mind the importance of the stewardship that is happening in this room today and has taken a long time to get to this room today, but has been going on since 1927. And I could call out those of you who've been part of that for this transaction, but it goes so much further back. So congratulations to all of you for your outstanding stewardship of this asset in the service of the community. I know that my job is to not be a chatterbox because I stand between you and a resident who can tell you what the real importance of your work is. So I congratulate you all on this amazing accomplishment and thank you for the opportunity to be a part of the team.
Crystal, Maurice, Karen, and your teams, thank you very much. Before our last speaker, I want to thank Beacon Residential Management. Including our property managers, property maintenance, leasing, and community engagement. Too many people to call out individually, but there are a few I do need to shout out to: Jillian, Javier, Julie, Nelson, Sharon, and all of the team members on site and the team members in the home office that support these projects, that make it possible for the rest of us to do our jobs: insurance, accounting, marketing, compliance, finance, design. I mean, the list just goes on. So thank you, everyone. If I missed anyone, I'm sorry, but you all know how much we appreciate your hard work on the management team and thoughtfulness. Thank you to the Pine Street Inn team, including Jan Griffin, who's the head of real estate, and the on-site team for your collaboration. Part of what let this building open seamlessly were weekly meetings for a couple of years among all of the folks that would be on site running things day to day, making sure that we had talked and worked out the kinks and understood the challenges and the opportunities. And I think that's really central to making this type of a community work. So Howard already did this. There are too many people to thank individually, but I do feel like I need to thank a few people who were just, stuck together day in and day out, especially in the early months of putting this together. Of course, there's Howard, who we have to thank for getting us all into this. And then, although Howard touched on these folks, I have to say a personal thanks to Dave Greenblatt, who's a partner and the head of finance at Beacon, Paul Bouton, who's happily retired from Nixon Peabody, for his legal expertise, but here today celebrating Ben Phillips, who is an SVP of development at Beacon and was instrumental in a lot of aspects of this project, but really his expertise in supportive services programming. And although she's moved on from Beacon, I know Howard touched on and thanked April Ognebeni, who worked on everything with us. And then finally, just thanks to Langston Stokes, who worked on day-to-day project management with me, Dara Covell, Beacon's CEO, and Josh Cohen, president of the development company, for your just steadfast support through all of it. So thank you. And perhaps today's most important speaker, Les Miller, is one of our long-term residents. Les has lived here for over 30 years and been through many of the challenges, ups and downs, and changes in this building. Les, thank you for sharing a few words, and I'm just going to bring the mic around.
Good morning.
Good morning.
I want to thank you for this opportunity to say a few words. I am very grateful to Beacon Communities for the wonderful job they are doing managing our building, my home, in this great location so close to Back Bay Station. Despite the excessive winds due to the high buildings around us, it is still such a fabulous place in which to live. Right here in our building, we have the Lyric Stage, which has been very generous to us residents, providing us access to top-notch theater. Beacon Communities provides us with free meals, very special holiday dinners, game nights, and events. Many of us that have been here for a while were a bit apprehensive about the Housing First residents moving in, but now that the building is at capacity, I can tell you It has been fairly seamless, and all of us participate in the various activities. In addition to what I had already mentioned, we have also been on field trips, including a trip to Newport, Rhode Island, to see railroad magnate Cornelius Vanderbilt's very famous mansion, the Breakers, and we've also been to Castle Island in South Boston, as well as the Festival of Lights in Attleboro. Beacon Communities has done a fabulous job with a complete renovation both inside and outside our beautiful building. It has been an interesting adventure to live through the renovation process, including power outages and water shut-offs. But the staff has been wonderful to us and is very easy to approach. As for me, halfway through the renovation process, I moved into a beautiful and fully handicapped accessible apartment that I just love. Communities and to our wonderful staff here at 140 Clarendon, Julie, Veronica, Alma, Josh, Sharon, Margie, Amos, Arthur, and Mo. And thank you, Darcy, for this opportunity to address you.
That was terrific. Thank you for being here and part of our community. So now I would like to invite elected officials, speakers, come on up. We're gonna, I think let's just do kind of right in this area. We're gonna spread out the ribbon, do a little ribbon cutting, and then please join us in the Kumba Library for some refreshments. And thank you all for being here today.